I think it sounds really cool. Howdy Sonic Sailors, I'm Marissa Johnson, but you can call me MJ. I'm a producer for Soundpaint and ADO, as well as a film composer and bassoonist. It's a beautiful sunny day here at Soundpaint HQ, and today I have the privilege of presenting a really beautiful library from our Woodwind series. We've got the 1982 Oboe Amore. You know, there's a certain quality to this library. I'm a bassoonist and I love other double reed instruments, but this oboe just has this je ne sais quoi, if you will, that just kind of makes it shine and just sound really amazing. You know, sometimes sample libraries have this almost like magical quality to them, and I feel like this is one of those libraries. So I don't want to talk so much today. I'd rather just play and show you all this library and show you what all it can do, because it is a really cool little library. Let's dive in. So we've got 20 different articulations with this library, each with 3 microphone positions each, totaling 60 parts. So I'm going to start with just the parts, with no effects, nothing. Just the raw sounds straight out of the box, so you know exactly what the foundation of this library sounds like. Take a look at the wide, just so you can hear these right out of the box. The only thing that's loaded is the ragtime legato module. Yeah, I mean, out of the box, I think it sounds great. So again, everything I'm playing is completely blank. These are just the raw samples in the parts, just straight out of the box. These sounds are really, really good. Okay, so now we've established that the parts sound great right out of the box. Let's dive into the programs, because this is where things get really fun, and you can kind of fine-tune those beautiful elements that you hear in the parts. Also a reminder on the arcs, they are velocity based, so this is forte, fortissimo, forte. The divide is like right here. Yeah, it's like between the F sharp and the G. That's where it switches. Love, love, love staccattissimos and staccatos with the arp. It just, chef's kiss. the legato sustain program out of the way. The legato with a sustain, and basically what it is I've adjusted the attack for the sustain so that it's a little delayed, so it kind of crossfades with the decay of the legato, if that makes sense. So it's just a way of making the sustain longer, because I know that the sustains and the legatos are a little shorter, so it's just another way of getting that to be longer. I mean, if someone wants to swap out the mic positions, you can do that as well, but Decca is the mic position that sounds best to me. Since this is the last woodwind in this particular woodwind series, I decided to throw in a bunch of hidden gems. I think there are 6 hidden gems. So we're going to take a look at a few of them. This double reed destruction, I don't even know if I can explain it. It's just like double reed destruction sounds cool. So I added all the things to kind of destroy the noise on this. So that's still a little too pretty, you can add the bit brush. Double reed destruction. This double reed duo is going to be the English horn and the oboe, just because they blend together so nicely. You'll notice this B flat is louder, and that's because I have the bottom range of the oboe cut off. B flat is the last note of the legato range for the oboe, so I have it cut off there. But if something like that is overlapping at all with what the English horn range, legato range is doing, all you have to do is just change it. And that way you don't have that bump and sound with the oboe coming in on that one note. Just a little tip, just so you can modify these to whatever your music needs. Kind of cool. And this double reed trio, of course, is going to be the oboe, English horn, and bassoon. Also, a fun thing to do, to turn on the arp. Just a little fun. And the legato keeps up with the arp, which is really cool. Now this high wind legato, I wanted to kind of play around with some cool sounds. For this high wind legato, I've got the oboe, flute, clarinet, and soprano sax. I thought they made an interesting sound together. Like, it's so cool because you can hear different moments. All these little colors come out. I just thought it was a really cool combo, so I kept it. If you're familiar with our soprano sax library at all, then you probably know that there's 3 different legato transitions triggered by different velocities. So, for example, just a normal legato. It's got a little run between the notes. I'm gonna try and trigger the other one. There we go. And that last one is a little scoop. Yeah, those 3 transitions mixed in with the other woodwinds is interesting. It sounds really cool to me. So this last program I'm going to get into was actually a request someone made on my bassoon walkthrough. Someone asked if there was any way to emulate Flutter tongue because we don't have it sampled in these libraries. So I played around with some of our effects to see if I could emulate a Flutter tongue sound, and I'm going to show you how I did it just so you can see what kinds of things I'm playing with. And if you do want to have make a faux Flutter program for the bassoon library, clarinet library, whatever, this is going to help get you on the right track just so you don't have to wait for an update, just so you can do this on your own. So let's dive in. So first things first, I found that the staccato actually worked really well. Staccato Staccatissimo worked really well for this. I also played with the arp and the offset, and I played a couple different articulations, and I played with the offset, and I played with the attack on all these things, and the best sound I was able to find, at least for the oboe, is the staccatissimo. Staccato would also work for some of the other libraries, although I think they all have staccatissimo if I remember right. So I've got the attack set to 0.02214. That's an approximate range. You can obviously adjust that however you need to. I have time also in this program just because sometimes it can help tighten up some of the notes if that's what you want. But let me actually talk about what flutter tonguing is, because it's kind of an extended technique for woodwind brass instruments. But essentially it's that with the reed or mouthpiece or whatever, so it goes, and so it's kind of like a repeated note. And what's interesting with the oboe is it actually, and a lot of other instruments, is it actually kind of creates these kind of harmonics, which you get in the programs, which I think is kind of cool. I have dynamic sustains turned on. That was important because it doesn't sound as good with them off. So dynamic sustains do need to be turned on. That's good because it allows you to adjust the volume with the mod wheel, because all the velocity stuff is programmed into the arp. Because I have this set up in the arp, going that's essentially what the tongue is doing. It's going. It is pretty close to a flutter tonguing oboe. If it feels a little too perfect and machine gunny, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to adjust. The swing setting is set to 6%, by the way. Makes it a little choppier if that's kind of the sound you want. And sometimes that works better in lower ranges of a couple of the instruments, which I can get into in just a second. But it's going to be important to have that ADSR on if you do decide to make this yourself, because it does get a little too precise. It's just a little too pointed for what an actual flutter tongue is, because it's not da 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 da. It's drrr, if that makes sense. So it's a little softer. The tongue on the reed or the mouthpiece or whatever is a little bit softer, which is why I have that ADSR there. The other thing you'll want that I thought helped was the touch. The velocity type is at low velocity, and that just makes the attack a little bit softer, a little bit smoother. It's a very subtle difference, but I think it is just enough that I just left it on soft. So play with that if you want, but that's another thing that I added was the low velocity from touch. So let me just go over all this one more time. Straight through. Touch, low velocity. ADSR, 0.2214 seconds is around that range. It doesn't have to be exactly that. Time is there in case you want to adjust that at all. And then offset. Offset was helpful for tightening up the front of the notes if you find a lower range needs something like that. Obviously this is too low for the oboe, but it can help create a more precise start of the note, and then the ADSR helps to smooth that out, as well as the low velocity from the touch. And then the arp, I have it set to chord. That way I can do and play faux flutter chords if I want. And then all the other effects, I have some distortion in here. Yeah, so both of these distortions, essentially what they do is if you want the sound to be a little more in your face, that is sort of what happens when you are playing flutter tongue. So the distortion is there in case you want to kind of make the sound a little bit more intense. I have them turned off automatically. So real quick, I'm going to show what happens when you use these same settings for some of the other woodwind parts. Okay, so we're going to turn off the oboe staccatissimo and we're gonna put let's do the alto flute staccatissimo. Make sure you turn on dynamic sustains. It really makes it sound better. And again, just playing with these settings that I've talked about. It's a little machine gunny, but ADSR seems to smooth it out a bit. Yeah, the problem with going too slow on the tempo is you get from each note of the arp. Again, you just have to kind of find that sweet spot, and it's not the same for each of the instruments, which is why I didn't make like a master template. So just to give you an idea of the kinds of things that work best if you want to make your own faux flutter sound with any of these programs. Again, that swing, playing with tempo helps a lot. ADSR, sometimes the release also helps as well as adjusting the attack. But just to give you a few ideas, faux flutter. Thank you for exploring the 1982 Oboe Amore with me. There's certainly a lot to love about this library, a lot to explore, and I hope you have fun diving into this library because it's very agile and so much fun to play. If you like this walkthrough and you'd like to see another one, feel free to drop a comment below. I do read all the comments and I love hearing from you, so type away. You can find me on our Soundpaint Discord, where you can DM me anytime. I've got a link in the description. Feel free to join us. We'd love to have you. But until our next adventure, take care.